Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 157 of Speaking from the Heart. And that time is almost here, the end of the year. I know it's a scary thought. It's something that I have even dreaded myself. I know that fear of the unknown might be even paralyzing for some of you. While on the other hand, many of you are jumping up and down out of your seat, super excited about the fact that it's almost over. And I know that with so many weeks yet to go, I think that one of the biggest things that we have to worry about is how we're going to get through the holidays. How are we going to get through all these different activities, especially if we have kids, balancing all the deadlines that we have for the end of the year with our work, our personal lives, our professional lives. The things that we have set 366 days ago might not be in the same shape, form, or even mindset in which we first formulated it in. And today, I want to talk about why we should continuously self-evaluate, look at the bigger picture, but more importantly, answer the question, are these things that are still left on my plate worth fulfilling? And I know that as we wind things up, it's so easy for us to think about why we can just move those things into the new year. But before you even give up, let's talk about why that is even the case. Why do you want to move it into the new year? So that you have something to actually do? So that you can actually say to your friends and family, oh, well, I put that off last year, and I have something now for this year, 2025. And I know that we have so many opportunities to be able to say to ourselves, too, that we have so much more knowledge, we have so many more skills, we have more self-awareness of our surroundings, what we're capable of doing. Their list goes on and on and on. But why would you put something off that you originally committed to all the way back in the year 2023 and never finished in the year 2024? It makes zero sense. It doesn't make any understanding for me as a coach. Why would you want to put that away? Why would you want to push that aside? Why would you want people to say that you don't do anything at all? The truth of the matter is, you might be putting it off for more reasons than maybe what's on the surface and what other people might actually understand in the first place. Why you think you have to wind down this year by putting everything away and letting the holidays take over makes zero sense, and it has never made any sense to me, especially as I continuously work on myself. Even with the years of experience that I have in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I have seen so many people take time off, not taking advantage of what they can work on for the rest of the year. Before you go and raid my inbox at podcast@yourspeakingvoice.biz and say to me, well, it doesn't make any sense why you would bring that up, Josh. I have a life. You don't. Hear me out. Of course, it's really valuable to take time, especially with things that you need to do that are really important to you. But what if those things that you have to do actually have impacts on other people and you continuously push them away? Even if you had thought that you were going to achieve those things, what makes you think that you can continuously push that needle backwards? That all-important needle, in which I've even examined with so many of my guests this year so far, have even looked at the variety of different ways in which we can do that. Whether it is a shift in mindset, whether it is about a thought process that we can challenge, whether it is something else that we have deep inside of ourselves that we can yet unlock and unleash that hidden potential that we have so deep inside of ourselves. Is it still worth fulfilling if we keep on saying to ourselves that it's not worth the time and effort this year, better luck next year? It is so easy for us to throw in the towel knowing that these holiday seasons are always busy. And I mean, for many people, it is a laborious task of just making sure that the family is fed, making sure that all the cookies are baked, which I know for many of us, cookie making is really important. But if you're making the goods in the kitchen, why can't you make the goods that help you fulfill your mindset, your journey that you've been on? In the year 2024, I have been faced with many significant challenges myself, trying to change that status quo. being able to learn how I can even change my mindset by pushing away the things that I can't do and working on the things that I can do and that I have that control and power of doing has really enabled me to unlock my potential. The things that I know that I'm capable of becoming have finally turned a corner. And I've been so proud of not only the things that I've been able to personally accomplish, but seeing what my clients have accomplished as well. Many of you know, as I've even continuously said on this episode, about the relationship that I have with Next Generation Personal Training in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Their team is absolutely doing a great job shifting the culture, changing the status quo of the personal training business, entering into cycling, doing contest posing. They are absolutely rocking it. But it didn't start with them just having this idea of saying, you know what, I'm just going to jump into it, both feet forward, and see what happens. No, they had to put a plan together. They had to face some truths and realities of things that they had going on right now in order to create a culture that allows them to thrive that they're doing today. And I have to publicly acknowledge that because not only do they and their trainers do that, but even some of my own clients, many of them facing a significant number of challenges, which include but are not limited to time management, divorce, starting their own businesses, even dealing with productivity issues so that they can become more efficient. Even those that are looking for a new job, trying to be better public speakers, and manage their social media. These goals and so many more that my clients are continuously accomplishing are things that they have been moving that mindset forward, shifting that perspective, helping them fulfill what they ultimately had been setting out to do since day one. Doesn't mean that those things change. Absolutely. Part of my 4-step process that I even work with in my business is about continuous improvement, refining on what we have actually accomplished, breaking down what we have yet to do, but also addressing the challenges so that they are able to become the best versions of themselves. That's it. It's as simple as that. But for many people, that means acknowledging that change has to occur. And sometimes that change might not ever happen because it means that they have to acknowledge that something is wrong in the first place. When we talk about winding down, I'm not just talking about the leaves falling off the trees. I'm not talking about the weather turning from very nice to very cold. I'm not talking about the Indian summers that we have here in Pennsylvania in between all of those. I'm talking about all the things that are happening within your brain. They're happening in your mind, your body, your soul. They're changing the things that are becoming the priority that were once the priority earlier this year. It might not look the same way as it first did, and that's okay. Part of this process is learning how to adapt and how to overcome with all these aspects in mind so that you're able to stay continuously moving in the right direction. That means that you have to keep pushing forward. It means that you have to listen to your mind, your body, your soul. Give yourself that grace some days of knowing that maybe you're not going to get what you needed to get done, but it's okay to tackle other things that are necessarily becoming the priority, that are challenging you and challenging others to become better versions of themselves, regardless of the personal and professional context that they belong in. We've had many episodes in which we've even talked about what that looks like. And I know that those episodes are opportunities for you to go back and listen to how you can overcome those aspects because I know many of you haven't had a chance to listen to those yet. But that's the problem. If you're not staying consistent on creating that opportunity, if you're not willing to address the fact that why is my body saying that I need to wind down instead of winding up, then you're never going to be able to unlock that hidden potential because you're always having distractions get the best of you. And holidays sometimes are the best excuses to say that we can't work on ourselves today, that we'll put it off for next year. It doesn't have to be these big, massive steps. You don't have to be leaping up 3 flights of stairs at a time. It absolutely means, though, that you have to find a way, the balance, whether it's carving out on your schedule that time that you work on yourself or you work on the things that you ultimately need to achieve. It means, though, that you have to focus on what the big picture is. You don't just wind down thinking that everything's going to work out, especially when you pick it back up. It's not going to look the same way as it does even right now. Once you get into January 2025, I promise you, things will not look the same. They might even look tougher than they once were, all because you stepped aside and you let it be something that you waited for until this very moment. Now, for the last 11 minutes, I've been harping and throwing down all my cards, saying that you should be not winding down, you should be winding up. And it's really easy for us to say that, yeah, I get it. I know that I need to be listening to it, but how can I hold myself accountable? Even if you did some of the smallest things that were on that list that you always wanted to do in order to achieve that goal that you ultimately set forth, that's what counts the most. If you're able to do that, if you're able to even showcase your ability to become something better than you were yesterday, the day before, even what you are doing in the future for that matter, because you're taking these small steps, that level of consistency, that authenticity, that accountability that you've always wanted to work on is finally happening. And sometimes when you have that memory, that muscle memory, if you will, of what you have been able to accomplish, what you've been able to be successful in, that can make such a big difference in the grand scheme of things. As I record this, I recently had attended a mega mixer in the South Central PA area consisting of multiple chamber conferences. And during that networking event, I've met many people inside and outside of my local chamber that allowed me to branch out and have new relationships with people and to even get my business out there to places that I normally don't get to. But there was one woman that I have to shout out. Her name was Margie. She was sitting at a table, and on her name tag, not only did it have her first name, but it had two other words that gave me flashbacks of why it was so important in a period of my life to not wind down, but to wind up. And those two words were Dale Carnegie. Many moons ago, I learned about Dale Carnegie because I was going through, during my teenage years, a series of different issues. Now, it would be surprising for you to know, my listeners, that have not known me for very long, that I was very much in trouble with the law almost every other time. And I know that that sounds crazy, but I was very hurt. I was very much in pain from people that were not accepting me for who I was, which ultimately led into one of the catalysts that I experienced 4.5 years ago, which is my suicide attempt. Margie gave me some opportunity to share a little bit about my experiences going through what used to be called the Dale Carnegie Next Generation Program, which essentially has been rebranded to focus on young leaders, young communicators, people that want to work on their confidence using time-tested materials that Dale Carnegie started over 100 years ago with his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and all the secret successes of sales strategies that helped other people become better in their profession. I shared with her what that experience meant for me, especially in a period in life in which I was winding down. And I could see her eyes light up because she was very concerned, especially being a trainer recently starting with the company, that she was uncertain about whether she would be able to make strides, especially in this ever-competitive market that coaches and trainers live in. But the truth of the matter is that I saw in her eyes the authenticity of why she's doing it. And it reminded me of why I'm even doing what I'm doing now in this business, Your Speaking Voice. Why I do this podcast, Speaking from the Heart. Why it's so important for me to keep on helping others, whether it's in an audience format or talking with others in general, about why it's so important to keep working on your voice in this ever-changing world. Friends, you have to learn that even when you wind down, you're actually winding yourself back up with ways in which you can help others to see that they have all the gifts, all the avenues available to them to become more successful than they ever thought possible. Being able to hold yourself accountable, being able to help yourself see what you can ultimately become, means that you have to give yourself that push. And that Dale Carnegie Next Generation course that I took over 22 years ago changed my life forever. It helped me become not just the best version that I can be today, but why it's so important for me to keep moving myself forward. My classmates, in which I originally took the course, many of them I still stay in touch with today. And how even 4 years after that original class, as I was helping out the instructor as a graduate assistant, why I was able to create so many opportunities to see that I have the ability to help so many become not just the best versions of themselves, but learning how to do that at a young age. So I say to you, don't give up. I'm not saying that you needed to be young to do all these things and you should just wind down anyway, but they are still worth fulfilling. Don't give up yet. We have plenty of weeks yet to go. It's all about being able to know when those times are that you have to put it aside and work on other aspects, including making those holiday cookies, carving the turkey, or even slicing the ham. But you have to also know, more importantly, that when you wind yourself up to the unlimited possibilities of seeing your goals go through at the very end of the day, even when you think that you're not achieving anything, remember, it's about those small little steps. And sometimes those small little reminders in life, especially Margie at Dale Carnegie, that remind you of the opportunities that you have, not only to become the best versions of yourself, not only to help others achieve what they ultimately set out to do, but when you start to wind yourself up, you won't be slowing down. You're going to go breakneck speed through the rest of this year and hitting a stronger stride in 2025. Thanks for listening to episode number 157 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.